Welcome to this practitioner discussion on the world's best safety media campaigns, where we're discussing safety promotion and injury prevention campaigns from around the world, and especially those acknowledged by the International Safety Media Awards program. My name is Marcia Howell, and I'm the founder and convener of the Media Awards, and also the executive director at Center for Safe Alaskans. And I'd like to acknowledge the help that we're receiving and support from Safe Compact and Center for Safe Alaskans for providing technical assistance for today's discussion. With me today, we have the pleasure of having conversation and interview with Dr. Tom Carroll, who is both an adjunct professor at the School of Public Health at the University of Sydney, as well as senior advisor in policy for communications at Vital Strategies, which is a global public health organization, a partner with the Bloomberg Philanthropies Initiative for Global Road Safety. Vital Strategies has assisted multiple cities around the world with media campaigns, both planning, implementation, and evaluation. And in 2018, at the International Safety Media Awards, Vital Strategies was awarded a special research and evaluation award recognizing the strength of the research and evaluation that they do with the folks they work with, as well as multiple cities with which they worked also received gold awards for their videos and for their media. So thank you for speaking with us, Tom.
Thanks very much, Marcia. A pleasure to be with you.
Thanks. So to start with, can you tell us about the work of Vital Strategies and the safety media initiatives you've worked with around the world?
Sure. Vital Strategies works as part of the partnership in the Bloomberg Philanthropies Global Initiative in Road Safety, working across in low and middle income countries across Latin America, Asia and Africa. And Vital Strategies' role is to work as part of that partnership, which also includes organisations like the World Health Organization, Johns Hopkins University, the Global Road Safety Partnership, and other organisations who work not only in terms of communication, but of course in terms of the overall safe systems of road safety. The Vital Strategies' role as part of the partnership is to work with cities to develop, implement and evaluate mass media communication campaigns which are related to the key road safety behaviours of drink driving, speeding, helmet wearing and seatbelt wearing in those cities.
Let's turn specifically to the 2018 awards. Can you tell us what programs you worked with and what that was like leading up to that?
Well, for the 2018 awards, we were very pleased, of course, to be recognised for the work of Vital Strategies, and not only Vital Strategies' work, of course, but the partnership working with the city governments and road safety colleagues in those cities. You mentioned the award for research and evaluation, and we were very pleased to see that acknowledged, because that's always been at the heart of the Bloomberg Philanthropies Global Road Safety Initiative, to be evidence-based, to be driven by research and data, to really understand what the problem is and how to most effectively target that and respond to that with the on-the-ground partnerships. The cities that won awards specifically within that, in the 2018 awards, in Asia, we had awards in Bangkok, in Ho Chi Minh City, and in Bandung, awards in Fortaleza in Brazil, and Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And it was great to have the experience of recognition right across the world in those sorts of settings, and very exciting for those cities themselves to be really recognised by the excellent work that they had done. And we were, of course, delighted to be part of those partnerships with cities.
What are some of the challenges for the teams in developing and implementing the work that you've done?
I think when we think about what the BIGRS, as we call the Bloomberg Initiative for Road Safety Partnership, some of the challenges I think was that we were going to possibly come in and work with cities in a different way than had been the case before. We particularly wanted to bring this data-driven, evidence-based approach, and particularly in design and communication, we wanted to really bring in strong formative research design. That is, looking through the eyes of the audience that we're going to engage with in terms of understanding their values, their attitudes and knowledge relating to the particular safety behaviour, and then to work with them to create communication that was going to be personally relevant and engaging. And this wasn't something that had been undertaken broadly in the cities that we were working with. So it was new to introduce this type of approach to cities, that ended up being very valuable in bringing aboard road safety experts in the cities to really understand this way of developing communication, not just thinking about what are the facts we need to communicate and then let's just communicate them, but rather who are the people we want to engage with, what's happening in their lives with respect to this road safety behaviour, how is it going to be affecting their lives if they change their behaviour, and working with those sorts of understandings of barriers and facilitators for improving road safety behaviour to really design effective, engaging communication. So introducing new approaches was a challenge. And I think the other thing was really working in effective partnerships, recognising that effective road safety communication is going to have a much stronger impact if it's coordinated with effective enforcement of the laws that we are actually also working with. So working with local traffic police and road safety organisations at that local level was in some ways new, and those sorts of processes really became very important and very effective. And that's what the initiative has been extraordinarily effective in, I think, building those partnerships to have an agreed vision for an evidence-based approach to development of road safety communications as part of that broader road safety systems approach, which is incorporating both policing but also aspects of road design and engineering and those sorts of assessments.
It sounds like that each of those efforts probably took a fair amount of time. What would be the length of time from beginning to end?
Well, this last phase ran from 2014 to 2019. So we're talking about a period of about 5 years. And over that 5 years, in the 10 cities that the initiative is working with, I mentioned Fortaleza, but also Sao Paulo in Brazil, Bogota in Colombia, Shanghai in China, as well as Mumbai in India, and Accra in Ghana, as well as Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and the other cities that I also mentioned. There were 45 different campaigns developed and implemented over that 5-year period. So it was an effort where we weren't just working in isolation in those different cities, we were building on lessons learned from each of the cities in the implementation and evaluation of those campaigns and increasing the effectiveness of the initiative. So it can take some time to do it effectively, but we're getting 2 or 3 campaigns over that 5-year period in each of the cities, but some cities actually do a lot more than that. But it was an effort that really it does take time, because you've got to build that trust and those partnerships at that local level, and you've got to work about the most effective timing for implementation and those coordination efforts, which take time, but are critical in terms of having the most effective impact.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like in the different countries doing this kind of work? For some people, it's the cultural differences and communication strategies and how you can even put the media out, what kind of venues are available.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Marcia. And as you mentioned, every city is going to be different in terms of understanding cultural values and perspectives on safety, on risk, is going to differ. The circumstances are going to differ in terms of most effective media channels and reflecting that experience. So it does come down to applying what I mentioned in terms of that formative research process and looking at the data in each of the cities. I don't think the approach needs to be different. We can apply best practice principles in terms of understanding the problem, looking at what behaviours we need to particularly focus on because that's the highest risk, looking at how we build partnerships to implement those sorts of programs, how we understand what channels are going to be most effective and efficient in reaching and engaging with people, but importantly, how we design the communication to reflect those cultural values, to reflect the situation in the particular city. And when we're thinking about helmet wearing, for instance, when we're talking about Bangkok in Thailand, one of the biggest issues is about motorcycle taxi passengers not wearing helmets. And so we've got a particular setting that we need to focus on and demonstrate there in terms of motorcycle helmets. And so the dynamics are a little different, of course, because of the cultural variation in the cities that we're working with. So we need to acknowledge that, respect that, and work within that in terms of what's going to motivate a behaviour change here with this audience that we're working with in this city, and take that process carefully, but rely on the data, rely on the evidence, and use a research-driven approach to come up with the most effective solution.
So what is it like working with international funders like Bloomberg Philanthropies, and how does that support make a difference in the communities in which you've worked?
Well, working with Bloomberg Philanthropies in this Global Road Safety Initiative has been an extremely positive experience. And I think when we look at, right from the head, Dr. Kelly Henning, the Director of Public Health Programs in Bloomberg Philanthropies, and Kelly Larson, who is the person driving the overall global program, right from the start, they were very clear in their communication about this evidence-based, real research-driven approach in terms of the work. And in a word, the impact is very enabling for not only for people working as part of the initiative, but of course the cities themselves. It's not as if the cities don't know how to do this type of work, but with the additional funding and technical advice, we can just enhance the effectiveness of what we're doing by applying global best practice, providing both, again, funding and technical assistance for the work that's already going on to be enhanced, to be more effectively coordinated with those additional resources, and implemented and evaluated. And that evaluation is a very important part of the overall program, because there is a commitment to continuous improvement. It's not just do something and did it work or not, but what do we learn from that? What can we apply for that for additional work? So Bloomberg Philanthropies had committed about $260 million for the first 10 years of from the program. In February this year, they announced another $240 million commitment for the next phase, another 5 years of working within the program. And so additional cities have been added. It's going to be 30 cities involved in the communication work that we're involved with. Also national governments involved in national policy work. So we've seen additional work for the area that I particularly work in Asia. We've expanded now into Malaysia, into Bangladesh, and added additional cities of Hanoi in Vietnam and Maharaja, the state of Maharaja, and New Delhi in India. So it's we're building on the success of what's been achieved, and it's just a real privilege to be able to work as part of this initiative.
And it sounds like what you offer while you're working on a project then also builds capacity for the future. Like what you're saying, it isn't just a one-stop done.
Of course, thank you for focusing on that. Yes, I mean, the capacity building is at the core of everything we do. It's not about a matter of bringing in an expert and getting something done and that expert leaves. It's about those partnerships that are just so critical at that local level, whether it's about helping how to design effective communication, in the particular area that we work, and understanding channel selection and effective media buying and implementation of those communication elements. But it's also working, of course, with the partnerships with enforcement and traffic police, and enabling that area of work. But of course, recognising that people live their lives and drive along the roads that exist. So understanding the black spots in those roads, redesigning there with other World Resource Institute partners, World Bank partners, which are part of the initiative, to say, let's make this a safer place to drive in, let's have better enforcement of the laws, and let's really encourage people in terms of driver behaviour to be motivated to undertake more road safety type of approaches in terms of the way they actually undertake their driving on the road. But it is very much about when we leave a city, that the objective, of course, is that capacity is built for building sustainability into the road safety work.
Well, to finish off, would you like to share any tips in addition to all of the wonderful things you've already just shared for practitioners that are undertaking safety media campaigns?
I guess when I come down to sort of tips, I think it's a matter of always, again, adopting that continuous learning approach. And some of the changes that have actually occurred over the last 5 years, in the city of Fortaleza, for instance, the road crash fatalities have dropped 50% in 5 years. And I'm not saying that's all because of road safety communication, but communication is an important part. But the city committed significant resources and committed to very effective partnerships on the ground. And I think if I had a couple of tips, I think I'd be talking about two different areas. One is about that formative research approach to not be an expert who thinks because you've got that expertise, you know what's going to work in this city. Work with the people, understand through their eyes what's meaningful, what are the cultural values that you need to be really understanding and working with to really create effective communication that's going to be, again, personally relevant, motivating, making people stop and think, and really understanding that they need to make a change if they aren't adopting road safety behaviours now. And the second area, of course, is about partnerships, that it's not a matter of about safety media communication working on its own. It works as most effectively when you're in part of a partnership with other organisations, influential people who are also impacting on people's lives on a day-to-day basis. And when we think about road safety, that partnership, particularly between communicators, educators, and then the enforcement of the law that you're trying to influence people to adopt more is an absolute critical partnership. And we've seen strong evidence that when you bring that together with enforcement campaigns, the actual mass media campaigns can make a significant contribution to reducing mortality and injury on the road. They're much more effective when they're part of a coordinated, comprehensive program that really adopts that systems approach in road safety.
Well, thank you, Tom. It's been a pleasure. Great to hear about what you've been doing and looking forward to hearing about what's coming.
Thanks, Marsha. It was a pleasure. And I really sort of congratulate you on this Safety Media Awards, really putting a focus on that, because we found that in the cities where we really won awards, it was a huge boost for the road safety teams there to be able to really promote that acknowledgement of the excellent work that they were doing. But it's also very important for them in terms of really communicating that up to their leaders to really say, this is really important, we can be effective, we can make an effective change. So we really do need sustainability of resourcing for this sort of work. So the awards were very, very important, had a strong impact in the cities that won those awards. And we really look forward to an ongoing involvement with them, with you, and really look forward to great success of the awards in the years to come.
Thank you. Before we finish, just as a reminder, due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Safety 2020 conference has been postponed until November 2022, but a virtual global event will take place March 22nd to 26th in 2021. The winners of 2020 International Safety Media Awards will be announced at this March global event, so stay tuned for information around this time and make sure to participate. Thanks again for joining us for this discussion about some of the world's best safety media as recognized by the International Safety Media Awards. Thank you again, SafeCom PAC, for helping make this happen. And to all our global safety colleagues, as always, we wish you success in improving safety outcomes for your community. See you soon.